Well, what A to do? The BBC's Harry Lowe's following the story for us. Harry, in terms of it, I mean, it has exploded. Give us a sense as to how quickly and the scale of that.
Yeah, exactly. So after this tweet from Shannon went out, it was retweeted thousands and thousands of times. And I think one of the problems for United was the slowness of their response, but also the way they responded. It wasn't a very human response. And as soon as they suggested that the ban was right to be enforced, they ran into trouble. Now, the reality here, as you've already said, is that this was a ban because a question of what they were wearing because of the fact that they were a guest of an employee, which meant that they could travel for free. But if they had been a full-paying passenger, they would have been absolutely fine in wearing what they wanted.
It's interesting, isn't it? Almost doesn't matter afterwards what the explanation is. The damage is done, and people don't row back on that.
Absolutely, and because I think it was about 2 or 3 hours before the full explanation came out, and United made their position clear, by which point people had been weighing in. And it does actually tap into a wider issue, David, about the portrayal of women and the sexualisation of particularly young girls. In this case, one of the girls who was denied access to the plane was 10 years old, and I think the ability for a company which has a policy which is drawn up by it's not clear who to ban women from wearing certain things, that is definitely very problematic.
So the direction of most of the response ended up being about body image, and presumably an agenda saying this is unfair on women.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Singling out women in particular, there was suggestions that men wouldn't necessarily have had to suffer the same ignominy of having to put on a dress or change their clothing. Some people
if they went in leggings, they might.
Yeah, well, exactly. If they were in shorts, I think there was a man in shorts who was allowed to board in the same party. And also, this kind of taps into a wider issue with the burkini in the French Riviera being banned last year. Obviously, that's been overturned now, but there is definitely a feeling that women get a rough deal with regards to what they're allowed to wear. And obviously, in the context of generally the direction of travel at the moment, this is quite a frivolous issue compared to some of the more significant security restrictions being placed on countries from certain countries.
Is there a degree, do you think, I don't suppose the company, United Airlines, would say this, but this is people have seized on it as an issue. It's a way of taking forward an agenda in a sense.
It is, and women are tweeting pictures of themselves in leggings saying, I'm going to be flying with the competition, and actually one of their rivals has been playfully kind of capitalising on this and tweeting back at people saying you're welcome to wear what you like on our airline. So it is industry practice that if you are travelling as a guest of a member of staff that you aren't allowed to wear certain things.
What do they explain why then? Because if you pay, you can wear leggings. If you get a free ride because your uncle flies the plane or something, you can't. Is there a rationale for that?
Yeah, I think their argument is that you are representing the company, and so you need to be giving a certain impression and you need to present yourself in a certain way. And for that reason, it's important that you are seen to be dressing in a certain way. Obviously, some people have pointed out that if you are in leggings or sportswear, you're going to be much more likely to in the event of something going wrong, you are going to be able to evacuate the plane much more quickly, and that's something that people have been talking about a lot as well.
Well, as you say, these things have a life of their own before you know what's happened, don't they, Harry? Good example of one. Thanks very much indeed for that.